Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving deep into something absolutely fundamental, really exciting for anyone playing Dungeons & Dragons, or even just thinking about starting.
Yeah, we're cracking open Chapter 2 of the updated 2024 rulebook.
And this chapter, it's all about one thing: creating your character, your adventurer.
That's right. Think of this as your essential guide. We're going to walk through building that adventure from the ground up, covering, every rule, every step that's actually detailed in the source material.
We want you to get not just what to do, but kind of why it matters, how to make your hero unique.
And just so you know, this deep dive comes to you from the folks over at the Dragons and Disasters YouTube channel.
All right, so creating a character, it can seem like a pretty big job, right? But the rule book, it actually breaks it down nicely. Before you even hit the main steps, there are a few prep things it suggests.
Yeah, really important groundwork.
First up, and this feels crucial, talking with your dungeon master, your DM.
Oh, absolutely essential. Your DM is kind of like the director, they've got the vision for the game. Talking to them gives you inspiration. What's the game style? Is it like a gritty dungeon crawl or maybe some high-stakes political stuff?
Right, or maybe they have a specific party concept in mind already.
Exactly, or a certain adventure hook.
Right.
That chat helps you figure out, okay, what kind of character actually fits this world, this group, gives you a solid starting point, prevents you from making, a silly gesture for a really grim campaign, maybe.
Unless that's the point, I guess. But yeah, good communication. So once you're brainstorming, you need a place for all this info.
Which brings us to the character sheet. The rulebook's pretty flexible here. It basically just says a character sheet is whatever you use to track the details.
So that could be the classic printed paper sheet.
Yep. Or, digital is huge now, so something like D&D Beyond. Or honestly, just plain paper works fine if you're organized. It's your character's living record.
Okay, makes sense. Now, my favorite prep step they mention, Session 0. I feel like this is becoming more and more standard, and for good reason.
Oh, totally. Session 0 is gold. It's that meeting before the game truly starts. Everyone gets together, players, DM.
What's the main goal?
It's about getting on the same page. Discussing any house rules the DM might have for creation, setting expectations for the campaign's tone. Like, how dark are we going? How much comedy is okay?
Making sure everyone's kind of signing up for the same experience.
Precisely. And it's huge for the players, too. You start figuring out your characters, maybe how they know each other already. Are you old war buddies? Reluctant allies? Do you just meet in a tavern?
Helps build those initial connections.
Yeah, and you can talk about what kind of quests the group actually wants to do. A good Session 0 just smooths everything out later on. Highly recommend.
Couldn't agree more. So do that prep. Talk to the DM. Grab your sheet. Have that Session 0. Once that's done, the rulebook lays out the 5 core steps to actually build the character.
Yep. A nice structured approach. It mixes the crunchy rules with the creative side of things.
Okay, step 1. Choose a class.
All right, class. This is probably the biggest mechanical choice you make right at the start. It's the main description of what your character does. Their job, their special skills, how they fight, or cast spells, or sneak around.
And the rulebook gives that overview table listing the core classes available in this edition.
Right. You've got your bard, cleric, druid, fighter, monk, paladin, ranger, rogue, sorcerer, warlock, and wizard. The classics are all there.
And that table is helpful because it also lists the primary ability score for each class. Like you see bard and it says charisma, wizard needs intelligence.
Exactly. It helps you know where to put your best stats later. And it also includes complexity rating low, average, or high.
That seems super useful, especially for newcomers.
It really is. A fighter is generally low complexity, pretty straightforward. A wizard managing all those spells, probably high. It gives you a heads up on how much you'll need to track.
And the book mentions Chapter 3 has all the nitty-gritty details for each class, right? Like what you get at each level.
Yep. Chapter 3 is where you'll find the full progression, all the features. Step 1 is just picking that initial archetype.
Okay, got it. Step 2. Determine origin. This feels like where the backstory starts getting woven into the mechanics.
Totally. Origin is all about where your character comes from. It covers 3 main things: your species, your background, and the languages you know. It really shapes personality, skills, even appearance.
Let's break that down. First, species.
So you pick a species from the options listed in Chapter 4. The examples here in Chapter 2 include some familiar faces: human, dwarf, elf, halfling, but also others like dragonborn, tiefling, Aasimar, orc, gnome, Goliath.
Lots of options there.
For sure. And once you choose, you look up at specific traits in Chapter 4 and jot those down. These can be things like dark vision, maybe some innate spellcasting or resistance to poison, that kind of thing. Adds unique flavor and abilities.
Then, still under Origin, you choose a background. And this seems like it has more mechanical weight now.
It really does. In these updated rules, your background is a big deal. It gives you a feat right away, which is a significant special ability.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And it also grants you proficiencies, usually some combination of skills and tools, things that make sense for that background. The book lists examples like acolyte, artisan, charlatan, criminal, entertainer, farmer, lots of archetypes. Guide, guard, herbalist, merchant, noble, sage, sailor, scribe, soldier, wayfarer.
So being a soldier isn't just flavor text.
Nope. It gives you a specific soldier feat reflecting that training, plus skill proficiencies, maybe like athletics or intimidation, maybe tool proficiencies like vehicles. Chapter 4 has all the details for each one. It really grounds your character in the world.
And the third part of Origin is languages.
Right. Every character knows at least 3 languages to start. The rulebook is clear. Knowing a language means you can read it, write it, and speak it.
Seems straightforward.
And it lists 2 categories, standard languages and rare languages. Standard are the, well, common ones. Common itself, which apparently originated in Sigil.
Interesting lore tidbit.
Yeah. And then language is tied to major species like Dwarvish, Elvish, Gnomish, Halfling, Orcish. Also things like Giant and Goblin. And it explicitly mentions Common Sign Language, too. There's a table you can roll on or choose from for some standard options.
Okay, and the rare languages?
These are less widespread, often tied to specific planes, like Abyssal for demons, or Celestial for angels, or Infernal for devils. Deep speech for aberrations, Sylvan from the Feywild.
Also includes some specific group languages.
Exactly. Druidic, which only druids typically know, and Thieves' Cant, the sort of secret code language used by criminal guilds under Common, spoken in the Underdark.
Oui, oui.
Primordial is interesting. It's the language of elementals, and it has dialects like Aquan or Ignan, but knowing one lets you understand the others.
So knowing these can open doors, literally or figuratively.
Definitely. Access to hidden knowledge, ability to communicate with powerful beings, adds a lot of potential.
Beyond those mechanical origin parts, there's this great little section, Imagine Your Past. Just a list of questions.
I love these. They're pure role-playing fuel. Simple questions like, who raised you? Who is your childhood best friend? Did you have a pet? Did you fall in love?
Gets you thinking beyond the stats.
Totally. Did you join an organization? Are you still in it? What parts of your past make you want to go adventuring? Answering even a few of these makes your character feel so much more real, gives you motivations, fears.
Yeah.
Like the question, what's your deepest fear? That can drive so much in-game action.
Absolutely. Okay, that's Origin. Next up, step 3. Determine ability scores. The core stats.
Yep, the big 6. Strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. These numbers define your character's raw potential and influence almost everything they do. Hitting things, dodging fireballs, remembering lore, persuading guards. It all comes back to these scores.
And the rulebook gives you 3 main ways to get these numbers. First, the standard array.
Right, the straightforward method. You get a fixed set of scores, 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8. You just assign these 6 numbers to your 6 abilities however you want.
The big advantage there is fairness, right? Everyone starts on a level playing field, stat-wise.
Exactly. No one ends up super weak or wildly overpowered just because of the dice. It's consistent.
Method 2, random generation. Feels classic.
Oh, it is. The old 4d6, drop the lowest. You roll 4 6-sided dice, ignore the lowest die roll, and add the other 3 together. Do that 6 times, 1 result for each ability score.
That's where you can get some really wild results.
For sure. It's exciting. You might roll an 18 or you might roll a 5. It leads to characters with very distinct strengths and weaknesses. Can be really fun, but also, potentially challenging if you roll poorly.
And the third option, point cost or a point buy.
This one offers more customization. You start with a budget, usually 27 points. Each ability score starts at 8, which costs 0 points. Then you spend points to increase scores.
That is not a 1-for-1 cost, right?
No. Higher scores cost more points to buy. Going from 8 to 9 costs 1 point. 9 to 10 costs another point. But jumping from 13 to 14 costs 2 points. And 14 to 15 costs another 2 points. The book has the table. 8 costs 0, 9 costs 1, 10 costs 2, 11 costs 3, 12 costs 4, 13 costs 5, 14 costs 7, and 15 costs 9. You can't buy higher than 15 this way.
So you can really tailor your stats, but within limits.
Exactly. You can prioritize what's important for your character concept, dump points into your key stats, maybe leave others lower, but you can't just max everything out. It balances choice and fairness.
Okay, so you've got your 6 numbers, whether from the array, rolling, or point buy. Then you assign them.
Right. You decide which number goes to strength, which to dexterity, and so on. This is where you think about your class again. Put one of your highest scores in that primary ability strength for a fighter, maybe, or wisdom for a cleric. The book even points back to that class overview table for guidance.
After assigning, there's an adjustment step.
Yes. The standard rule in the 2024 book is you adjust ability scores. You increase one score by 2 and a different score by 1. Simple as that.
Adds a nice little boost.
It does. The rulebook also mentions some compatibility options if you're using older source books for species, for instance. Like, you might just increase 1 score by 2 or 2 scores by 1 and ignore any increases listed in that older species description. Just ways to make things work together. And remember, feats later on might also boost your scores.
Okay, scores assigned and adjusted. Now, ability modifiers. These are the numbers we actually use most of the time, right?
Pretty much, yeah. The modifier is derived directly from the score. A score of 10 or 11 is the baseline, giving a +0 modifier.
And then it goes up or down from there.
Right. For every 2 points above 11, the modifier increases by +1. So 12-13 is +1, 14-15 is +2, 16-17 is +3, 18-19 is +4, and a school of 20 is +5.
And below 10.
Same logic, but negative. 8-9 is Midic 1, 6-7 is Midic 2, 4-5 is Midic of 3, 2-3 is Midic of 4, and a score of 1 is a whopping Midic of 5. The rulebook has the full table, of course. You write this modifier right next to the score on your sheet because that's the number you'll be adding to dice rolls for attacks, saves, and skill checks.
Gotcha. Now, the book includes this cool section about using your scores to describe appearance and personality.
Yeah, I really like this. It encourages you to think beyond the numbers. Your high strength doesn't just mean you hit hard. Maybe it means your character looks muscular or brawny. And maybe personality-wise, they're protective or very direct.
And low strength could mean slight, maybe self-conscious or indirect.
Exactly. High dexterity. Maybe lithe, dynamic, poised, low dex, clumsy, hesitant, unsteady. It gives you these descriptive words linked to each stat.
High constitution. Energetic, hardy, stable, low, frail, squeamish, lethargic.
Intelligence high, decisive, logical, informative, low, artless, illogical, frivolous.
Wisdom high, serene, considerate, wary, low, rash, distracted, naive.
And charisma high, charming, commanding, inspiring, low, pedantic, humorless, tactless. Using your highest and lowest scores as pumps like this can really kickstart your role-playing ideas.
It really brings the character to life. Oh, and it briefly mentions unaligned creatures here, like sharks, lacking alignment.
Right, just a note that not everything fits the alignment system.
Which brings us perfectly to step 4. Choose an alignment.
Alignment, the classic D&D concept. It's a broad descriptor of your character's ethics and morals. It works on 2 axes: morality, good, evil, or neutral, and attitude toward order, lawful, chaotic, or neutral.
Combining those gives you the 9 options: lawful good, neutral good, chaotic good, lawful neutral.
True neutral or just neutral.
Chaotic neutral, lawful evil, neutral evil, and chaotic evil.
And the book gives little summaries. Lawful good tries to do the right thing within the rules. Chaotic evil is all about selfish destruction. True neutral is often about balance or just not getting involved.
It's a guideline for behavior.
Yeah, think of it as a starting point for how your character might react. The book also has that table of personality traits by alignment. So, like, chaotic characters might be associated with traits like impulsive or rebellious, good with compassionate or honest, evil with dishonest or cruel, lawful with cooperative or methodical, neutral with disinterested or pragmatic.
Helps flesh out the personality based on that choice.
Definitely. But it's important to remember, it describes your character's general tendencies. It's not, a script they have to follow rigidly. People are complex.
Good point. Okay, final step. Step 5. Fill in details. This is where we put all the calculated numbers and final touches on the sheet.
Right, tying everything together. First, you record class features. You look back at Chapter 3 for your chosen class, find the Level 1 features, and write those down, your core abilities.
Then you fill in numbers. Lots of calculations here based on your scores and proficiencies.
Yep. Saving throws first. Your class tells you which saves you're proficient in. For those, you add your proficiency bonus, which is +2 at level 1, plus the relevant ability modifier. For saves you're not proficient in, you just add the ability modifier.
And skills work the same way?
Pretty much. Your background and sometimes your species or class give you skill proficiencies. For those skills, add your proficiency bonus plus the ability modifier. For all other skills, just add the ability modifier. It's good to list them all so you know the bonus for everything.
Okay. Passive perception, that's one the DM uses a lot.
Yeah, it's your character's always on awareness. The formula's simple. 10 plus your total wisdom perception, check modifier. The DM uses it to see if you notice things without you actively searching.
Crucial one, hit points. How tough are you?
At level 1, your maximum HP is determined by your class's hit die plus your constitution modifier. The book has a table. Barbarians get 12 plus con mod. Fighters, paladins, rangers get 10 plus con mod. Bards, clerics, druids, monks, rogues, warlocks get 8 plus con mod, and sorcerers and wizards get 6 plus con mod.
So Constitution is key for survivability.
Absolutely. You record your maximum HP, which is also your current HP at the start, and you note down your hit dice like a fighter has 1d10 hit die at level 1. You use these later to heal during rests.
Armor class, AC. How hard are you to hit in combat?
The base AC, if you're wearing no armor, is 10 plus your dexterity modifier. But armor and shields change this based on rules in Chapter 5. Heavy armor might give you a high fixed AC, but ignore your dex mod, while light armor lets you add your full dex mod. You figure out what your starting gear provides and calculate your AC.
And attacks. Need to know how to swing that sword or fire that bow.
Right. For melee attacks with weapons you're proficient with, your attack bonus is typically your strength modifier plus your proficiency bonus. For ranged attacks, it's usually dexterity modifier plus proficiency bonus.
And damage.
Damage rolls usually add the same ability modifier strength for most melee weapons, dexterity for ranged and finesse weapons.
What about spellcasters? They have specific numbers too.
They do. 2 key ones. First is spell save DC. That's 8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier plus your proficiency bonus. This is the target number enemies have to beat with their saving throws to resist your spells.
And spell attack bonus.
That's your spellcasting ability modifier plus your proficiency bonus. You add this to your d20 roll when a spell requires you to make an attack roll. Remember that spellcasting ability depends on your class. In for wizards, winds for clerics, druids, char for bard sorcerers, warlocks, paladins.
And you also track your spell slots, cantrips known, and prepared spells.
Exactly. Your class description in Chapter 3 tells you how many cantrips you know right away and how many spell slots you have at level 1. You write those down. The number of spells you can prepare for classes like clerics or wizards, or no for sorcerers, also depends on your class level and your spellcasting ability modifier.
Phew. Okay. Lots of numbers filled in. What's next in this final step?
Name your character. Seems simple, but it's important. Choose a name, write it down. Think about what it means, if anything. Does it fit their species or background?
That's how everyone will refer to them.
Exactly. And finally, create final details. More evocative questions to round out the character.
Like what?
Things like, what is your gender? Who do you care about most? What's your deepest fear? Again, great prompt. And crucially, what do you seek on your adventures? Knowledge, wealth, glory, justice, power, something else.
Defines their core motivation.
Precisely. Answering these gives you and your DM hooks for the story and helps you understand why your character is out there risking life and limb.
Wow. Okay, so that's the whole 5-step process.
Yeah.
Class, origin, ability scores, alignment, and details. That gets you your level 1 character.
Built from the ground up, following the 2024 rules. But characters don't stay level 1 forever, hopefully. The chapter also covers advancement.
Right, leveling up. How does that work?
As you adventure, you gain experience points, XP. The rulebook has a character advancement table showing the total XP needed to reach each level, from 1 all the way to 20.
And that table also shows when your proficiency bonus increases, right?
Yep. It starts at +2 at level 1, goes up to +3 at level 5, +4 at level 9, +5 at level 13, and finally +6 at level 17. That bonus impacts a lot of your numbers, so tracking it is key.
So what happens mechanically when you actually gain a level?
A few things. First, you choose a class to level up in, usually your starting class. But this is where multiclassing can happen, which we'll get to.
Okay. Then you adjust hit points and hit dice.
Right. You gain more HP. You can either roll the hit die for the class you just leveled up in, like a D10 for a fighter, and add your constitution modifier. Or R, you can take the fixed value listed in the rulebook's table. It's usually average roll rounded up plus your con mod. Add that total to your maximum HP. You also gain 1 more hit die of that type to spend on short rests.
Then, record new class features.
Check Chapter 3 for your class at your new level. Write down any new abilities, spells, proficiencies, or improvements you get.
Adjust proficiency bonus if the table says it goes up.
Correct. Update that on your sheet. And adjustability modifiers usually happens when you gain a feat that boosts the score or at certain levels where classes get ability score improvements.
And you mentioned something important about constitution changes.
Yes. If your constitution modifier increases, say, from a feat, you gain additional HP retroactively. You gain +1 maximum HP for every level you have already attained, including the one you just gained. So if your con mod goes up by 1 at level 5, your max HP increases by 5, plus whatever you rolled or took for that level 5 game. It's a nice boost to durability.
That's good to know. What if the campaign starts at a higher level, like level 3 or 5?
Very common. The DM decides the starting level. The rulebook mentions level 3 is often recommended for organized playgroups.
Yeah.
You simply start with the minimum XP needed for that level according to the advancement table. So 6,500 XP for level 5, for example. You build the character following all the steps, gaining all the features, and HP increases up to that starting level.
And presumably you get better starting equipment too.
Yes, the DM handles that, but the rulebook offers guidelines. There's a starting equipment at higher levels table. It suggests you get your normal starting gear plus additional gold or items based on tiers level 2, 4, 5, 10, 11, 16, 17, 20. Higher level means more resources to reflect past adventures.
Might even start with magic items.
Possibly. The DM might grant some, depending on the level and campaign style. The book mentions the standard rarity levels here. Common, uncommon, rare, very rare.
Okay, now let's circle back to multi-classing, taking levels in different classes.
Right, this is an optional rule, but a popular one. When you gain a level, instead of advancing in your current class, you can choose to take the first level in a new class, assuming you meet the prerequisites.
Prerequisites, what are those?
You need a minimum ability score of 13 in the key abilities of both your current class and the new class you want to enter. So if you're a fighter, strength or dexterity, wanting to dip into wizard intelligence, you'd need at least 13 strength or 13 dexterity and at least 13 intelligence. It ensures you have some basic aptitude.
Makes sense. Your total XP and proficiency bonus are still based on your total character level, right? Not just the level in one class.
Absolutely key. A fighter for Wizard 1 is a 5th level character for XP and proficiency bonus +3.
How do hit points work?
When you take a level in a new class, you gain HP based on that class's hit die, rolled or fixed, plus your con modifier. Your total HP maximum is the sum of all HP gained from all levels. Your pool of hit dice for resting is a mix. If you're that Fighter 4 Wizard 1, you have 4 D10 hit dice and 1 D6 hit die.
And you gain the class features of the new class.
Yes, starting with its first level features. As you take more levels in that new class, you gain its features accordingly. The rulebook does caution that some features, like extra attack, usually don't stack if you get them from multiple classes. You typically only benefit from one version unless it says otherwise.
Okay, the tricky part. Spellcasting for multi-class characters.
Right, this needs careful attention. If you have multiple classes with the spellcasting feature, like Cleric and Wizard or Paladin and Sorcerer, your ability to cast spells combines, but in a specific way. Warlocks are separate, though.
How does it combine for non-warlocks?
You calculate a combined spellcaster level. You add together all your levels in Bard, Cleric, Druid, Sorcerer, and Wizard. Then you add half your levels, rounded down, in Paladin and Ranger. Then you add 1/3 of your levels, rounded down, in Fighter or Rogue if you have the Eldritch Knight or Arcane Trickster subclass.
Okay, so you get this combined number. Then what?
You look up that combined number on the special multi-class spellcaster spell slots table in the rulebook. That table tells you exactly how many spell slots you have of each level, 1st through 9th.
And you can use those slots for spells from any of your classes.
Yes. Any spell you know or have prepared from any of your spellcasting classes can be cast using any of those shared slots, as long as the slot is of the spell's level or higher. Casting with a higher slot might empower the spell if its description allows.
You mentioned warlocks are different. They're packed magic.
Totally separate. Packed magic slots come only from your warlock levels, as described in the warlock class features. They don't add into that combined spellcaster level calculation, and the slots from the multi-class spellcaster table can't be used for warlock packed magic spells, and vice versa, usually. You track warlock slots separately. They also recharge on a short rest, which is different.
Okay, separate pools. And preparing or knowing spells.
You figure that out for each class individually. If you're a Cleric 4 Wizard 3, you prepare Cleric spells as a 4th level Cleric using Wisdom, and prepare Wizard spells as a 3rd level Wizard using Intelligence. You use the spellcasting ability associated with the class that gave you the spell when you cast it.
It's complex, but the rules seem laid out. Anything else in this chapter?
Just one last fun bit. Trinkets.
Ah, yes, the weird little items.
Exactly. These are purely for flavor, small, quirky items you might start with. They usually have no mechanical benefit, but they add personality or maybe a story hook. The book has 1D100 tables you can roll on.
Like what kind of thing?
Oh, stuff like a mummified goblin hand, a crystal that glows faintly in moonlight, a shard of obsidian that's always warm, a tiny clockwork crab that moves when you're not looking. Just fun, odd things to make your character unique.
A little bit of personality right from the start.
Exactly.
Okay, so reflecting on all that, Chapter 2 of the 2024 Rulebook gives you a really solid step-by-step process for building a D&D character. It covers everything from the initial concept and talking to your DM.
Through choosing your class, defining your origin with species and background, figuring out your ability scores, picking an alignment.
Calculating all those important numbers like HP, AC, attack bonuses, spell DCs, and then adding those final personality details.
And it doesn't stop there. It lays the groundwork for how your character grows with levels, handles starting at higher levels, and even delves into the options and complexities of multiclassing.
Feels like a really good marriage of mechanics and creativity. The rules give you the structure, but things like the background choice, the feats, the imagine your past questions, they all invite you to make the character truly yours.
Absolutely. Every piece connects. Your scores influence your class, your background gives you skills, and maybe a feat that shapes how you play. It all builds towards a unique adventurer ready for stories.
It really does. You know, thinking about it, how might just one choice you make here, maybe even picking a specific trinket, end up becoming unexpectedly important later in a campaign? Or how might mixing two classes totally change the trajectory of your character's story in ways you didn't foresee?
That's the magic of it, isn't it? The foundation you build here in Chapter 2 using these rules, it's just the start. The possibilities for your character's journey are pretty much endless.
A fantastic thought to mull over as you start your own character creation. We really hope this deep dive into Chapter 2 has been useful for you.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us for this exploration on the Dragons and Disasters YouTube channel.
If you found this guide helpful, or maybe just interesting, do us a solid and hit that like button. And definitely subscribe to the channel. We do lots more deep dives into D&D rules and other TTRPG content.
And please, drop a comment below. We'd love to hear what kind of character concept you're excited to build using these updated 2024 rules. Let us know.